In the 6th grade, I met this kid that used to get bullied for liking computer games and bugs. He told me to try out this cool indie game called League of Legends. Now, back in 2012, I didn't really know much games. I pretty much only played Pokemon and Super Smash Bros. With my brother all day. You know, I dabbled in computer games here and there as well with Toontown, but nothing ever as serious as League of Legends. Imagine me, a 12-year-old kid that used to have Beyblade parties for his birthday, joining this wonderful shitfest of a game called League of Legends. I would hop onto ranked, play Fizz, and play with no runes. And then, even if people would call mid at the time, I just didn't care because I'm 12 years old. I was a menace to society. I should have been locked up. League of Legends was a game that I used to use to cope with during my troubling times in middle school. During those years, I grew away from the things that I loved due to personal issues with my family, and the environment I was in was just changing due to unforeseen circumstances. But the thing that stayed consistent throughout all that was my laptop with League of Legends. It helped me get through a lot of things, and while playing this game so much, of course, I became a genuine fan. I started to look forward to each champion and even every league cinematic because it gave me a little more insight onto this game I loved so much. I would watch these cinematics, whether it's at Worlds or whenever League of Legends would just drop one at the beginning of a season. I would wait to see who was gonna pop up. Was it gonna be my main champion? Was it gonna be the guy that I hate? Was it gonna be the one that League of Legends decided to take a cigar away from him for no reason? League of Legends is something that I had a lot back then, but then I stopped playing League due to going to high school and gaining a personal life. I didn't have internet half of my high school years as well because of just not being in a right circumstance at home. What I used to cope during those troubling times was pretty much anime. I really started to get into anime through my friend Jagger, which suggested My Hero Academia because I loved The Flash. I loved the era. They were some of my favorite shows, and even the Marvel movies. I love Marvel movies. And man, I went to Endgame day one and cried my heart out. I am a diehard Marvel fan. Eventually, I started watching more animes like ReZero and Darling in the Franxx. These shows helped me escape from some of my lowest points in my life, which was honestly living in a motel with my two other siblings and eating microwavable food every night due to being robbed in my old home. I had nothing but a bag of clothes and my junky old computer I got for my birthday. As I started watching anime more, I started to wonder, what if League could create their own anime one day? And well, Arcane is the closest thing to it. I've always wanted a way to explore the lore of League of Legends, whether that be through cinematics or reading it or watching YouTube videos, and Arcane was perfect because it was a show. Arcane is a show I'm thankful for because it mixes two of my favorite mediums together. It makes me feel happy for my kid self that was once at his lowest, because this is all I've ever wanted. With that being said, as a longtime League of Legends degenerate and an animation enthusiast, I would like to say that Arcane is perfect in its own way, and today I would like to give you guys reasons to why I think Arcane is one of the perfect shows out there. And yeah, I'm a bit biased, but this is my channel, not yours, so it is what it is. With that being said, welcome to the channel, guys. My name is ImH, aka Joe. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. This is going to be a long video. And if you haven't watched Arcane, please stop watching now because I'm going to spoil everything. This is not a spoiler-free review, just be warned. Arcane is a beautiful show that exemplifies how to actually create a well-rounded story from its way of expressing itself visually or through itself musically. It's a show that will tug at your heartstrings and make you think twice before a character does something major. It's a show that puts so much detail in little things, while at the same time creating fan service for people that are invested into the lore of League of Legends. With that being said, let's get into this review.
Right. He was like a brother to you, and he turned his back, and blah, blah, blah. Did I miss anything?
One of the reasons Arcane is so good is due to the fact that the show has consistent storylines. They will make you feel for any character and hit you right in your pathos. For those that do not know what pathos is an appeal made to an audience's emotions in order to invoke some type of feeling. In Arcane, there are plenty of moments that strike at one's pathos. They start to make you feel for the characters and honestly make you feel as sad as possible at certain points. With that being said, let's start in Act 1. In Act 1, we learn a lot about Vander's backstory and how all throughout his life, before he would take care of Jinx and Vi in this story, he was a ruthless man. He was the leader of the underground. All he wanted in life was to get revenge against the topsiders because the people of Piltover were honestly just giving the people of Zaun the roughest time of their life. During his years of rebellion, he met someone named Silco, which we know as our antagonist in the story. Silco shared that same hate towards topsiders because, in his opinion, his life should be valued and appreciated as much as those snotty people that live above him. Eventually, Vander and people from the lanes ganged up against the people of Piltover to overthrow them and send the message that, hey, you guys are fucking assholes, and we demand rights and honestly just some social justices. But we all know where the story goes. A lot of people end up dying, and some of those people are Jinx and Vi's parents, and with that guilt of seeing these two kids come back to nothing, Vander takes them in, and this leads to Silco and Vander having to break up their relationship because honestly, Vander found a new reason to live besides just fighting all the time, and Silco doesn't understand that, and to make things worse, Vander thinks he has to do what he has to do to stop any more trouble, and he decides to actually hurt Silco in the process by almost literally killing him and drowning him to death. This forces Silco to think of Vander, which was pretty much a brother to him, as not one anymore. It's a betrayal that is very sad, but it's impactful because it has lasting effects throughout the whole Act 1. And this is why this leads me to Jinx and Vi's relationship, because yes, Jinx and Vi are like Vander and Silco, but they're just blood sisters. And the reason that Vi's betrayal is so huge is because yes, Jinx is a fuck up. She is a Jinx at the end of the day, but that's something she can't control. She's kind of just has been cursed ever since she was young. She always finds ways to mess things up, and well, I'm sure we have siblings that always mess things up. I mean, I can name one right now, but I'm not going to single them out in this video. But anyways, it's very important because at the end of Act 1, we know that unintentionally, Jinx ends up killing half her family, and the only person left alive is the person that would constantly defend her, saying no, she's not a Jinx. And after seeing everything that Jinx has caused, it's very sad because Jinx actually thinks she did something right, but in reality, Vi's like, oh no, you fucked everything up, and Jinx starts to notice, and she starts to just cry her heart out and saying things like, Vi, I didn't know, I didn't mean to do this, but in reality, she fucked everyone. This is really well done acting because you could tell from like clips that she is actually doing what her character would act like in real life. For example, watch this right now.
I only wanted to help. I only wanted to help. I only wanted to help.
I told you to stay away. Stay away!
No! Why did you leave me?
Because you're a Jinx! Do you hear me?
This small portion of the show shows how well done the acting is and how far visual storytelling could go. Because damn, I started to feel bad for her. I mean, I assume you would too, because at the end of the day, Jinx just wants to do what's right. She wants to help her family. But those people that she wanted to help are dead now. She can't do anything about that. And with frustration, as we know, Vi slaps the shit out of her sister, and she ends up running off with just pain, agony, and all these mixed feelings, and this leads to Silco coming into the scene, look after a young Powder, and realize that, well, she's the only one left. Vander is dead, and Powder screams out, she's not my sister anymore. And that's when Silco put the pieces together and realized, damn, another sisterly / brotherly betrayal. It has happened again. And at that moment, it kind of struck me because, well, I have siblings of my own. I couldn't imagine one of my siblings killing half of my family and my parents on top of that and then leaving them, you know? Like, it's something very deep. Or being in Powder's situation, one of my siblings, even though I'm the older child, I can't really imagine it. But at the same time, like, if I was one of my younger siblings, I'd be like, what the fuck? My only blood is leaving me. Like, that's fucked up. Like, I've been through a lot of my siblings, and so has Jinx and Vi. So it hit me really deep in my pathos, and I just want to say it's one of my favorite moments in the show, visually and from a storytelling perspective. Another reason I love Arcane is the fact that they put so much detail into this one character that it makes him a whole different character compared to his lore. For me, being a League player, I know what Viktor becomes. Spoilers, it's not a good thing. But in the show, I really wanted to know how they would make him seem more appealing because he just seemed like a big bad guy, and he didn't really have any depth as a character in the League of Legends lore. He was just an evil mastermind. This show did a really good thing by making Viktor this kind of vulnerable character that we could kind of see how much he has to do to preserve his life. See, the reason Viktor is such an emotionally giving character is due to the fact that we see Viktor as a kid. He grew up with nothing, no friends, and barely a reason to live. And on top of that, he was crippled. He had nowhere else to go. Viktor turned to creating things due to just being lonely and not having people around him. This path eventually did lead him to someone that we know as the great underground scientist named Singe. Singe taught Viktor the basics of science, whether that be preserving the mutation or even just the basic engineering skills he needs. With that being said, there's a lot of things to love about Viktor. He's kind of this underdog character that everyone just feels for because, well, like I said, he has no one. I mean, he's just a loner that just is obsessed with the idea of science and helping and preserving people's lives, even if that means his own, which, as we know, becomes a very consequential thing to him when he ends up killing one of his best friends or someone that actually probably adored him. And it's kind of sad because even though he figured out the way to preserve his legs and maybe his life a little bit, people around him are going to start to die, like that one girl. He even goes as far to even attempt to commit suicide. At the end of the day, Viktor is a character that anyone could try and root for because, well, Viktor is a just lovable dude that we know is just trying to do his best to live in the world that he is in. Kind of sucks that he got sick because of him having no friends and being around all those plants that was in Singe's lab when he was younger. It's unfortunate that one of the greatest minds in Piltover is probably going to die to some sickness, but it makes people want to root for him, and it's kind of sad what is going to eventually happen to him, and it is what it is. That's Viktor. He's a big meanie. I don't know what to tell y'all. But one of my favorite scenes in all of the show is when Viktor is chasing that boat, and as a kid he just can't do it, but then he finally gains his legs and he throws his cane away and he goes sprint, 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 and he's sprinting down the path to beat this boat, and he finally does it. It makes you just want to root for the guy, and that's just one of the reasons I love him. There's no denying the fact that Arcane's animation is such a blessing to society and everyone that loves animation. Arcane's animated style seems like a mixture of 2D paint, which is elegantly done, and 3D models or objects that allow characters to move freely with no restraint. On top of that, the VFX are beautiful and probably done with some in-house secrets to their specific 2D style. But the reason this matters is because I feel like we haven't had something so impactful since Into the Spider-Verse, which blew everyone away. There's a good reason for that as well. See, Spider-Verse took over 4 years to be animated by 800 people. It's insane how much work and effort got put into that movie. Honestly, if you were to sit down and watch it and learn how much detail was put into it, it would be so shocking. At face value, you feel like you're watching a comic book story, and that's important because Arcane creates that magic feeling that you feel when you watch Into the Spider-Verse, but in its own way. It'll make you feel immersed into their world through their style. It's a show that shines in its ability to be unique and highlight certain parts of characters through its artistic visuals and groundbreaking world design. It's something that will last due to the fact that the show focuses on everything. It goes out of its way like Spider-Verse to make things different. For example, the smoke particles look like they're being animated at a different frame, and they would move like how they would in real life. On top of that, the animators put so much detail in the littlest things. Like, look at Powder biting into the sandwich. They didn't need to make that so well done, but it just demonstrates how much life the animators want to show throughout the series. The fight choreography as well in animation is something to love. The scenes are smooth and full of impact. Everything feels like it has weight, which is one of the most important things of animation, because it just feels like it's more realistic in a sense. One of the reasons I love these fight scenes are because they're really fucking cool, but at the same time allows people to understand what's going on due to the drawings and particles on screen. One of my favorite examples is when Jayce is fighting the Chemtank dudes in episode 8. The Chemtank dudes' attacks are drawn with straight green lines representing the impact of the sharp green claws, while Jayce's attacks are flashy blue lightning bolts, which match his weapon's design, which is a function based on Hextech's blue gemstone. It's beautiful and proves that these guys know what they're doing. In many forms of pop culture, music is something that is so important it can make or break your movie. It's something that can bring prosperity to your series and make a lasting impact with your audience. How many times have you seen a movie and been like, damn, that one scene was really fucking well done, but then you remember the music?
No! No! No!
In an article written by You and Geek, Christian, one of the creators of Arcane, stated, "We approach music in a very strategic way, if you will. Like Piltover to us was always about being very sophisticated, very mechanical, very rhythmic. So you'll notice that in the themes for Piltover, it is very orchestral."
Viktor saved my life once. Now he needs me and there's nothing I can do. I hate feeling so useless.
As for Zaun, we always imagine that Zaun's a place where people repurpose things in a way that they probably weren't intended to be used in the beginning. Maybe someone builds drums out of certain canisters or a different kind of wires as strings for the guitar. So we always tried to find a sound that felt very handmade, and it wasn't so much about how big it was, but just how handcrafted things can feel.
I mean, I'm not grabbing girls. Other than those ones, I guess.
Focus. Who are they? Why wasn't I invited to the party?
So everything with Zaun was a bit more modern, a bit more based on technology, and Piltover tends to be a bit more old school with the orchestral sound. This is so important because it shows that the creators of Arcane wanted to put a lot more effort into the musical side of the show. Like I said, music is a way to invoke feelings, invoke an emotion that will make you want to either feel good for a character or really fucking sad. There's no in between. Lastly, I would like to talk about the ending of Arcane. The ending of Arcane leaves a lot to desire for season 2. We get a ton of cliffhangers. First of all, Jinx blowing up the console while they're trying to advocate for the freedom of Zaun is just Jinx's character. We know that Jinx is just a up. She can't control it. She literally killed Silco when Silco wasn't gonna betray her. She found a way to fuck things up even more, and also on top of that, while she's shooting the rocket, first off, pause, we get to see Jinx's ult for the first time in the whole show, which I personally love. I love that they take so long to build up these characters and build up their weapons that they use in League of Legends. That just provides me as a League of Legends player just a lot of sweet fan service. Also, can we talk about how Mel has this like shining gold coloring on her back? I mean, she literally looks like she's about to use Azania's from League of Legends. If you guys don't know what Azania's is, it's pretty much lets you go invincible for like 3 to 4 seconds in the game. It would be really interesting to see if they could bring League of Legends items into Arcane. It could give us lore on things like the stopwatch or the Zanyas, which would let you freeze in time. The reason I love the thing with Mel is because it lets fans theory craft. For example, another character that I'm really interested in what they're going to do in season 2 is Ekko. I want to see Ekko and Heimer's relationship grow and build so Ekko could finally gain his ultimate from League of Legends. If you don't know what his ultimate is, he pretty much is allowed to go 3 to 4 or 5 seconds back in time, which in reality is his main gimmick. So I'm wondering how they're going to incorporate that into the show. Honestly, when I thought he was fighting Jinx with the watch, I thought he was going to use it then, but obviously he just doesn't have that hex tech equipment yet. So I really hope that we see a bit more of Heimer because he kind of got fucked over. I mean, I love my boy Heimer. It's made me appreciate him as a character even more, and if you're a Heimer main and look like this, you need to subscribe right now. Also, there's so many things that I want to know about. Like that werewolf looking figure that Sinch is looking at. Who is that? I mean, obviously I know because I play League of Legends. That's probably Warwick, which in my opinion, I think that's Vander. Also, I want to know what type of people are going to show up from Noxus. We know that Mel's mother was the leader of Noxus. I mean, it's not really confirmed. We know that her brother did something really fucking crazy and it pissed the people of Noxus off. So I'm curious, like, is Darius gonna show up, or is Swain gonna show up, or maybe even Draven? I mean, in the lore, I think we know that Swain or Darius are like pretty much really mean, evil people, and I think one of them overthrew Noxus at one point. So I'm curious if they're gonna show up. Like, imagine if we could see Draven or even Darius in live action. Like, imagine just Darius just dunking the fuck out of like Enforcers or something. I don't know. It would be pretty cool. I would love it. Also, Singed. He's not in his super toxic form yet, which he is in League of Legends. I wonder if he'll get his hands on some Hextech capability through Viktor, because we obviously know Viktor is going to turn into this big bad guy, and I think we're not all prepared for it, but it is what it is. I wonder if Sinch is going to get his poisonous tank equipment from Viktor. Maybe somehow they're going to work a deal out so they could create it together. There's just so many things that I love about Arcane, and I just cannot wait for a season 2. It sucks we're not going to get a season 2 next year, but hopefully the year after that. I mean, Arcane did take at least 5 years to make, and I hope the hype for season 2 continues to linger in the hearts of fans. With that being said, my name is ImH, aka Joe. Heimer stole the show. If you're new here, subscribe. If not, okay, cool. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. I love y'all. Peace.